In a small, quiet village nestled between mountains and a dark, misty forest, 13-year-old Alex lived with his grandmother. Their house was filled with old books, relics, and trinkets from long-forgotten times. Every night, Alex would fall asleep listening to his grandmother's stories of magic, hidden worlds, and mysterious artifacts. One legend always stood out: the tale of the Shadow Stone, an ancient relic said to have the power to open a gateway to a hidden realm, a place where time stood still and powerful creatures guarded secrets that could change the fate of the world. However, no one in the village believed in these stories anymore. They were just old tales meant to entertain. Alex, however, felt differently. Deep down, he believed the legends were real. He had always been fascinated by the old stories, but something about the Shadow Stone resonated with him in a way nothing else did. One evening, while exploring the attic of his grandmother's house, Alex stumbled upon an old, dusty chest he had never seen before. Inside was a weathered journal belonging to his grandfather, who had disappeared many years ago under mysterious circumstances. The journal contained drawings and cryptic notes about the Shadow Stone and its location, deep within the Forbidden Forest, a place no one dared to enter. As he read through the journal, Alex's heart raced. He knew he had to find the stone. His instincts told him that his grandfather's disappearance and the ancient relic were connected. The next morning, Alex packed a small bag with supplies and the journal. He didn't tell his grandmother about his plan. He knew she would forbid him from going. Instead, he slipped out at dawn, heading toward the edge of the village and the entrance to the Forbidden Forest. The forest was dark and foreboding, even in the daylight. Thick mist curled around the trees, and the deeper Alex ventured, the more the village seemed like a distant memory. The air grew colder, and strange noises echoed through the dense woods. After hours of walking, Alex came upon an ancient stone circle, exactly as his grandfather had described in the journal. At the center of the circle stood a pedestal, and on it a small, black stone, the Shadow Stone. As he approached, the stone began to pulse with a faint, dark glow, as though sensing his presence. His heart pounded in his chest, but he couldn't turn back now. He reached out and touched the stone. The moment his fingers made contact with the cold surface, a powerful force pulled him in. The world around him twisted and blurred. He felt as though he was falling through a tunnel of shadow and light. When the sensation finally stopped, Alex found himself in a completely different place. Alex stood at the edge of a vast, eerie landscape. The sky was a swirling mixture of deep purples and dark blues, and the air was thick with a strange, otherworldly energy. In the distance, towering mountains cast long shadows over the land, and an ancient castle loomed atop a jagged cliff. He had entered the hidden realm. As he tried to gather his bearings, a shadow darted across the sky, disappearing into the mist. Alex shivered, realizing that this realm was far more dangerous than he had imagined. But he knew he couldn't turn back. Somewhere in this realm lay the answers to his grandfather's disappearance. Alex began to walk toward the castle, hoping to find clues or inhabitants who could help him. The journey was long, and the landscape was filled with strange creatures, some beautiful, some terrifying. But none approached him. It was as though the presence of the Shadow Stone around his neck kept them at bay. As he neared the castle, he noticed something strange. The closer he got, the more time seemed to slow down. His movements became sluggish, and the air grew thick, as though he was walking through water. By the time he reached the castle gates, he was barely able to move. The gates creaked open, and a tall, slender figure stepped out. She was draped in dark, flowing robes, her face hidden beneath a hood. Only her glowing, violet eyes were visible. The figure spoke in a soft, melodic voice, but there was an edge of power beneath it. "You have the stone," she said. "I've been waiting for you." Alex was too stunned to speak at first. How did she know about him? About the stone? "Who are you?" he finally managed to ask. The woman lifted her hood, revealing a face that was both ancient and youthful, as though time itself had little meaning to her. "I am the guardian of time," she replied. "I protect the balance of this realm. And you, Alex, are in grave danger." The Guardian explained that the Shadow Stone was one of the most powerful relics in existence, capable of opening doors between realms. But it was not just a tool, it was a key to controlling time itself. Whoever possessed the stone could alter the flow of time, and if it fell into the wrong hands, it could bring chaos to both worlds. Alex listened, his mind racing. This was far more than he had bargained for, but he had to know. My grandfather, he disappeared years ago while searching for the stone. Do you know what happened to him? The Guardian's eyes darkened. Your grandfather was a brave man, but he made a terrible mistake. He opened the portal, but did not understand the consequences. He is trapped in this realm, held captive by the Shadow King. The name sent a chill down Alex's spine. The Shadow King was a figure from the old legends, a dark ruler who sought to control the hidden realm and use its power to conquer other worlds. If you want to save your grandfather and restore the balance, you must defeat the Shadow King. But beware, he knows you are here, and he will stop at nothing to take the stone from you. Armed with this new knowledge, Alex set out toward the Shadow King's fortress, deep within the mountains. The journey was treacherous. Dark creatures prowled the forests, and strange, magical traps littered the path. But Alex pressed on, driven by the need to save his grandfather. As he approached the fortress, the air grew colder, and a sense of dread settled over him. The fortress itself was a towering, black structure, surrounded by jagged rocks and swirling shadows. Lightning crackled across the sky, casting eerie light over the landscape. At the entrance, two massive shadow creatures stood guard. Their eyes glowed red, and their bodies shifted and flickered as though made of pure darkness. Alex knew he couldn't fight them directly. He had to be smart. Using the Shadow Stone, he concentrated, feeling its power resonate with the shadows around him. Slowly, the creatures began to move aside, allowing him passage. It was as though the stone granted him control over the shadows themselves. Inside the fortress, the atmosphere was even more oppressive. The walls seemed to pulse with dark energy, and whispers echoed through the halls. Alex could feel the presence of the Shadow King growing stronger as he made his way deeper into the fortress. Finally, he reached the throne room. The Shadow King sat on a dark, ornate throne, his form a mass of swirling darkness, his eyes glowing a deep, malevolent red. So, you are the one who wields the Shadow Stone, the Shadow King said, his voice deep and echoing. I've been expecting you. Alex stood tall, clutching the stone tightly. I'm here to free my grandfather and stop you from using the stone to destroy both our worlds, he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. The Shadow King laughed, a sound that echoed through the room like thunder. You think you can defeat me? The stone belongs to me. It is part of this realm, and with it, I will reshape time itself. With a wave of his hand, the room darkened, and shadows began to swirl around Alex, pulling him toward the throne. But Alex focused on the stone, feeling its power surge through him. The shadows responded to his will, and he pushed them back. The battle began. The Shadow King unleashed wave after wave of dark energy, trying to overwhelm Alex. But Alex held firm, using the stone to deflect the attacks. He could feel the power of the stone growing stronger with each passing moment. As the battle raged on, Alex noticed something, a faint glow coming from the far corner of the room. There, trapped within a cage of shadows, was his grandfather, weak but alive. Grandpa, Alex shouted, but the Shadow King's attacks intensified, forcing him to focus on the fight. The Guardian's words echoed in his mind. The stone is not just a tool. It is a key to controlling time. Alex realized what he had to do. Instead of fighting the Shadow King directly, he concentrated on the stone, willing it to control the flow of time. Slowly, the world around him began to shift. The Shadow King's movement slowed, and the shadows began to dissipate. With one final burst of energy, Alex unleashed the full power of the stone. The Shadow King let out a roar of rage as he was engulfed in light, his form dissolving into nothingness. The fortress crumbled around them as Alex rushed to free his grandfather. Together, they escaped just as the structure collapsed into rubble. Outside, the sky began to clear, and the oppressive energy that had hung over the realm disappeared. The balance had been restored. The guardian appeared before them once more. "You have done well, Alex. The Shadow King's reign is over, and the realms are safe." She held out her hand, and the shadow stone floated toward her. "The stone must remain here, where it belongs. You have proven yourself worthy, but its power is too great for any one person to wield for too long." Alex nodded, feeling a strange sense of relief as the stone left his possession. "Thank you," he said, looking at his grandfather, who smiled proudly at him. Together, they returned through the portal, back to their village. Back in the village, life returned to normal. But Alex knew he would never be the same. The adventure had changed him, made him stronger, more confident. He had uncovered the truth about his grandfather, defeated the Shadow King, and saved both realms. And though the portal had closed, Alex knew that somewhere, the hidden realm still existed, waiting for its next guardian.